We have Hitesh Oberoi with us now, MD and CEO at InfoEdge, joining us. Hitesh, good morning. Q1 has seen a decline of 44% on the billings front. However, what's led to stable EBITDA, and you've also seen better profit growth this time around.
Yeah, so, of course, we were impacted by the lockdown in the months of April and May, and that resulted in billings dropping by 44%. But revenue was down only 10%. Because, we benefited from deferred revenue of previous quarters. So as you know, we collect money in advance from our customers, and that flows into the next few quarters when we deliver the service. So as a result of that, the billing growth of the previous quarters helped us and resulted in a revenue decline of only 10%. Cost declined by about 17%, and therefore EBITDA went up. But yes, this billing growth will impact revenue growth in the coming quarters.
Okay, so we are expecting a impact showing up on numbers there. And is there any way you can sort of give us an indication as to the extent of the damage?
Yeah, see, Q1 was very badly impacted in for both 99acres and Naukri. Recruitment revenue was down 44%. In fact, recruitment billings were down 44%. Real estate billings were down 71% actually for the company. But we've seen a recovery of some sorts in the last couple of months. Traffic on all our portals is back to near base levels. So we are back to where we were at the same time last year. On some metrics, we are showing healthy growth. In July and August, our revenues, our sort of billing has been tracking at 80% of what it was last year. So there's been a handsome recovery in July and August. But let's see what happens going forward. This is still very early days in the recovery. And this has to sustain for us to sort of be able to say certainly that this is how sort of things will be going forward. So it's a wait and watch situation. Let's see what September is like. September is our biggest month in this quarter. Almost half our collections happen in the month of September. So if September is good, then that will give us much more confidence going forward.
Sure. Hitesh, definitely want to get the trends in the job market, considering Naukri has been relatively resilient. Help us understand which are the sectors which are hiring and what are the trends that you've seen in the month of July and August?
See, in July and August, we've seen job seekers come back with a bang. So job seeker activity on the site is at an all-time high. We are seeing more app downloads. We are seeing more applications, more resumes being modified, more people registering than ever before. So that's very good news. Recruiter activity, which had slowed down considerably in the months of April, May, and June, has also started inching up. So we are back to maybe 65-70% levels in Naukri. And certain sectors are, of course, doing better than other sectors. So we've seen a handsome recovery in IT. We are seeing a reasonable sort of activity in sectors like healthcare, education, pharmaceuticals, insurance. But sectors like travel, hospitality, tourism, retailing, apparels, all these sectors continue to be impacted by the slowdown. They are yet to show any signs of recovery.
Can imagine. Matchmaking has really caught the frenzy on OTT. Tell us how the Jeevansathi business has done.
So Jeevansathi was actually the only business in our portfolio which did well in Q1. It kept growing through the lockdown as well. So Jeevansathi billings grew by 13% in Q1. And in the month of July and August, we've seen sort of billings grow even better. In August, we grew billings by 23% in Jeevansathi. So that business has not been impacted by the slowdown. We are seeing more registrations, more activity on the platform. Of course, we've also upped our marketing spend in Jeevansathi. That's also helping. We are gaining share. So all is well on that front, at least for us.
Okay. Anything coming up in terms of strategic opportunities, whether it may be a strategic stake across your businesses, M&As, anything of that sort, Hitesh?
So we are constantly on the lookout for sort of invest in or acquire. Both for strategic sort of purposes and for financial sort of purposes. We have an AI through which we make our financial investments, and we have an active corporate development team which looks at strategic sort of investments for the company. We just finished raised $250 million through a QIP. So we're now sitting on close to 3,300 crores of cash. Now the purpose of this QIP was to actually sort of look around for acquisitions and inorganic sort of opportunities in the spaces we operate. So our preference would be to do a deal at some point in time in the next 12 to 18 months in either matrimony or real estate or education. These are the verticals we run inside the company. So we are constantly scouting. But as you know, I mean, the good opportunities are hard to get. And, but as and when we get them, we'll be ready to move quickly.
Okay, so that narrows it down somewhat. On Zomato, what's the traction been like? We all know people have been ordering, but online food delivery apps have been innovating. And also, what's the current valuation in the sense with the recent fundraising and so forth? Do you see a further upside on the valuation now?
See, Zomato also had a terrible Q1, but business has sort of made a strong comeback strongly in Q2. The dining out part of the business, of course, has been more impacted because many of the restaurants are still shut. But, delivery is picking up. The company has done a very good job of cutting burn. So burn is now down to maybe $2-3 million a month from maybe $30-40 million a month a year ago. So they've done a fantastic job on that front. Their unit economics has improved. They're making a profit per order now. Where they were losing maybe 35-40 cents to an order earlier. So all is well. I mean, at least things are getting better on the business side. There is no dearth of, there's a lot of inbound investor interest in the company. The company is already sitting on a lot of cash. But there are many sort of investors right now interested in picking up a stake in the company. That's all I can say right now.
When you hear news on Softbank, when you hear news that the government, in a sense, or globally governments are not very comfortable with Chinese investments, does that bother you?
Not really. See, and I've said this before, there is no shortage of money right now flowing into India. If you have a good business and, if you continue to sort of do a good job of growing your business, then there's no dearth of investors. Right now in Zomato, we are speaking to investors from the US, we are speaking to investors from Singapore, we are speaking to investors from many other parts of the world. So I don't think there is a dearth of money for quality companies running quality businesses.
Hitesh, it's just a coincidence that yesterday Aisha and me were discussing InfoEdge stock, and I said, look, InfoEdge is a bet on the human cycle, which is the first thing you need after you graduate is a job. You got Naukri. Then you need to get married, you got Jeevansathi, then you need to buy a house, you got the real estate portal, and then you need to eat out and keep yourself safe. So you got Zomato and Policy Bazaar. That's the way I look at InfoEdge, that you're betting on the lifestyle. Is my assessment right?
Yeah, well, I don't know, but what COVID has told us is that the world is is all about essential services, and clearly some of the services we offer are essential in nature to most sort of middle-class Indians.
Okay, so Hitesh, how will now next 3 years be different for InfoEdge from last 3 years? Last 3 years have been great for your shareholders. Last 3 years have been great for your investee companies. Last 3 years have been, golden years. How will they be different? Are you looking at investing more? Are you looking at perhaps making some of your existing businesses more profitable? What would you be focusing on? Profitability more or investments more? And please don't say it's a combination of both.
Now, you will see, on the whole, you will see a more aggressive InfoEdge. Of course, a lot will depend on what happens to India as a whole. At the end of the day, our businesses are indexed to GDP growth. We are hoping that GDP growth will come back, if not tomorrow, maybe in a couple of quarters, and all will be well again with India. And the secular sort of growth story of India will continue. Because, you can't get people jobs if there are no jobs. You can't make people buy houses if they don't want to buy houses, right? So hopefully once things go back to normal on the India front, you will see a more aggressive InfoEdge. We are very well positioned. Our Naukri business is very profitable. In the 2 other categories we operate, matrimony and real estate, we are sort of upping our investments significantly. We're gaining share. We are sitting on 3,500 crores of cash right now. Like I said, this cash will be used to invest in our existing businesses. We will also be looking out for, like I said earlier, inorganic opportunities to grow in the verticals we operate in. As and when these opportunities, and COVID is likely to throw up opportunities because a lot of companies have been very negatively impacted by COVID. And hopefully there'll be many more opportunities going forward than there were in the last 3 years. On the management side also, we've really beefed up our management bandwidth. We've hired a lot of good people. The company's been through a major transformation over the last 3 to 4 years. Got a lot of high quality people in the company, a lot more management bandwidth than earlier. So we believe at least that we can do a lot more going forward. So let's see how it plays out.
Well, good luck, Hitesh. Appreciate your time. It's nothing short of magical what you've done for your minority shareholders. So keep up the good work. I'm a great admirer of both Sanjeev and you and the kind of capital allocation you've done.